Pop a 40 and check your rollies. It's Pepsi or Peppo, a dude with attitude. And today we're looking at some new gameplay that IGN is giving us. It's a preview and review, a hands-on preview of someone that spent 5 hours playing not only on one planet but on a moon, and they have a lot of information for us. But before we get into that, we're going to be looking at this short little thing IGN has released about the heavy new lightsaber stance. So let's do it.
There's a new combat stance being added to Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but it's only recommended for those who are really into high-risk, high-reward styles of fighting. The crossguard stance utilizes a hilted lightsaber, reminiscent of Kylo Ren's, and it's for players who just want to do a bunch of damage. But the catch is that it's also the slowest stance with the least amount of range. The developers wanted players to feel powerful in the crossguard stance, but also noted that it would require a deeper understanding of spacing and is meant for players seeking a high degree of mastery. It's one of 2 new stances coming to the game, the second being the blaster stance, and we don't know much about it other than that it's going to be a hybrid lightsaber blaster fighting style. Do you think you're going to use the crossguard stance a lot? Let us know.
Okay, so right out the bat I want to say this makes me excited. Blaster stance, the crossguard stance. I thought crossguard was just going to be a new lightsaber, but it's a completely new stance. It has a, it has a different way about it. It gives people an option for different play styles, and I like that. I like variety. Now let's get on to the hands-on preview review.
We've already shown you 9 minutes of Kobo gameplay as part of our IGN first coverage, but what we haven't really gotten to point out is the fact that most of the footage covers only the introduction to the planet, which is a fairly traditional linear portion that guides you through caves, valleys, and mountain trails, but then opens wide up once you get to the southern reach. In a moment that brought to my mind the very first time you step out onto the Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild. My main goal throughout this entire section was to reach the cantina to find someone to repair my crashed Mantis. And I could have just booked it over there to get on with the story, but if I did, I would have missed out on so much meaningful exploration. Off in one direction there was a hidden cave that housed an incredibly tough and incredibly cool boss battle that I'd be remiss to spoil for you here. Off in another direction there was a Bedlam Raider camp with stormtrooper armor on spikes and a nasty surprise waiting for me in a trapdoor that led underground. And if I took another path, I'd eventually find a Jedi chamber that housed a gigantic puzzle room. Other paths still were closed off until I found a particular upgrade. Better still, all of these excursions felt appropriately rewarding. Most offered me skill points for my trouble, which are much more valuable in Survivor due to the fact that there are now individual skill trees for each lightsaber stance, your force powers, and for flat health and force upgrades.
Okay, automatically, this is giving me Hogwarts Legacy vibes. Now, if you don't know what I mean, I'm not going to spoil the game, but in it, there is a pretty big open world, and you get puzzles, and you get these type of caves and all kinds of different stuff. And in Fallen Order, we didn't really get that. I mean, yeah, there were some caves on planets and stuff, but in this, it seems like an actual open world, kind of like in Skyrim, where you can go somewhere and find something that has nothing to do with the story and you can get something really cool from it, or it's just a really cool experience. And that's what makes an open world, is not everything's going to have to do with the main story. Some of it's just going to be part of the adventure. So this is cool.
And even the treasure chests that offer cosmetic items have vastly improved rewards due to the fact that you can find entirely different outfits for Cal to wear, as opposed to just different designs of ponchos. In addition to that, you can even find new hairstyles to equip Cal with.
Really?
My personal favorite so far was a bandana that made him look a little bit like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Kobo is massive, but thankfully I never felt lost thanks to some truly excellent map features, like automatic markers that highlight passageways that lead to unexplored areas, symbols that let you know what areas you can't access yet with your current abilities, a trail that marks the way you just came, and of course, fast travel. Thank Yoda for fast travel. Even better, Cal eventually also gains the ability to tame beasts, so he can use them as mounts or as ways to traverse large gaps.
So, beast tame. So, from what I've seen here, they've already mentioned that he's on a moon. He has gameplay from being on a moon and from here on this place, which is basically the new Bogano. I just can't remember the name of it. So, he's got this mount for this place, And then it looks like he's got the other mount for this place, but this also doesn't look like a moon. This looks kind of like the same planet, or maybe a different planet. Either way, is it possible that we have a mount for each planet, or maybe 2 mounts for each planet? That's really cool. I like that. That's variety.
All of these additions, on top of just stellar art design, all add up to make the act of exploring Kobo a joy. Another thing that struck me as I was playing was how good both the level and enemy design was at setting up fun opportunities for you to use your force powers in fun ways. Mini-boss arenas are full of objects that can be force-pulled and thrown to deal big damage. Rolling mines are both a constant threat and a constant blessing when you can send them back at pursuing foes. And there were plenty of opportunities to end a battle before it began by force-pushing foes off a ledge. Kobo is also not a one-stop shop. It's a planet that you're meant to return to many times over the course of Cal's adventure. Aside from the aforementioned locked passageways that Cal won't be able to progress through until he gets a specific upgrade, the cantina and the town it resides in, Rambler's Ranch, doubles as sort of a home base for Cal.
Home base. See, this is basically the new Bogano, but, like, better.
There are vendors to purchase new customization options, colorful NPCs to talk to, and every time you come back, you can be certain there will be something new to check out.
There's vendors now? That's so fucking cool.
The second area I got to play was on an unnamed moon planet that Cal and his companion Bode visit sometime later in the game. In comparison to Kobo, this felt like a much more traditional style of level that would have been right at home in Jedi Fallen Order. That isn't to take anything away from it though, because it was a ton of fun, with a healthy balance of both death-defying platforming challenges and edge-of-my-seat combat encounters. The thing that stood out most about this level, though, was that there was almost a horror theme to it. Turns out that the enemies were expecting Cal, and thus most of them were lying in ambush. The beginning was very tense, as it seemed like enemies were hiding around just about every corner, waiting to get the jump on me. Even in a level that was much more linear, there still were plenty of goodies hidden off the beaten path, including Jedi Survivor's take on a DMC-like challenge room. In it, I had to face off against wave after wave of what seemed like hundreds upon hundreds of B1 droids that would all go down in 1 or 2 hits, but could very easily swarm and overwhelm me.
DMC challenge room? Devil? I'm gonna have to play that and get my ass kicked.
It was an absolute blast, and surprisingly tough as well, once they started mixing in some droids that would self-destruct if I didn't force push them away, or otherwise just get the heck out of there in time. I love this encounter because it's something that wouldn't have made sense within the context of the actual level, but in a sealed off space where anything goes, it was the perfect kind of combat test. I hope there are a ton more of these, and I'd happily search every nook and cranny to find them. I could go on about the Jedi Chamber puzzle rooms, the fun new force powers, the exciting story beats that took place after I stepped foot into the cantina, or some of the awesome boss battles that I had to overcome. But it's all stuff that's probably better experienced for yourself once the game comes out on April 28th. In the meantime, make sure to check out our breakdown of the 5 lightsaber stances, a look at 8 new enemies you'll face off against, and a quick peek at just one of the aforementioned Jedi Chamber puzzle rooms, as our coverage of Star Wars Jedi Survivor continues all throughout the month of February. Thanks for watching, and for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
So, 8 stances? Holy shit. Alright, this was a lot better than the last one. It showed me that there's going to be different cosmetics. It showed me that there's going to be all kinds of different stuff to do. Basically, what he said about having things that he did enjoy in the first one, but he wanted to be better, he basically had them checked off on a list, basically. Because everything was more improved. Everything was better in this. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see what else this has for us. I mean, the DMC challenge room really seems exciting, not gonna lie. I can't wait to see who the heck this guy is. And like I've said it before and I'll say it again, I have a theory that this might be Coruscant, but I could be very wrong. Anyway, that is my reaction to the hands-on video preview review. And I don't know how many more of these there are going to be, you know, because I'm not going to react to everything. It's just these last 2 things have been pretty big. So, comment down below, how did you feel about this? What do you think? 8 stances, that's pretty huge. What are you going to use? Are you going to use the blaster stance, the crossguard stance, or the two-bladed stance, because so far that's all we know about. Are you gonna change his hairstyle? That's a pretty big deal. Like, let me know. What do you think of this? Leave a like if you enjoyed my reaction. Subscribe for more. And until next time, keep the attitude.